A chilly day in South Boston, 39 degrees outside, feels more like 30 degrees, but we are all set for baseball as a couple nearby rivals do battle. It's the top-ranked UMass Boston Beacons playing host to the MIT Engineers. We welcome you to the Beacons Broadcast Network. I'm Kevin Gale. Seth Orensky will join me shortly. Well, the UMass Boston Beacons are off to a perfect 2-0 start, and they're bouncing back from a victory yesterday against Brandeis. On the other side, MIT is back in chilly New England after a 3-game road trip down to Trinity University in Texas, where they went 1-2. We'll start the broadcast today by checking out our all-time series between these two schools, located just a few miles apart. MIT leading this series 23-12 overall, but the Beacons have won 3 in a row and 7 of the past 10, so great success in the recent history of this series. 3 of the past 5 meetings have been one-run games as well, so could be an interesting test today for the Beacons, who have had a couple blowout victories to begin this season, most notably that 20-1 victory back on February 28th. So we will take a look now at 4 things to know for today's matchup. UMass Boston ranked number 1 for the first time in program history. MIT had 2 players drafted in the MLB draft last spring, so an impressive turnout for a D3 program. Beacons pitchers have a 1.0 ERA and a 2.03 opponent batting average thus far this season. And we mentioned that road trip down to Texas for the Engineers, who are back in their home neighborhood facing off against UMass Boston. Our player to watch today, Kyle Boudris, second on team, all-region last year, I should say. Led the Beacons with 69 hits as a shortstop. See the numbers, an impressive batting average for his career and 66 runs batted in. Boudris in the starting lineup today. He'll bat second and play at third base. Now it's time to check out the highlights from yesterday's 4-1 victory over Brandeis.
1-2 out, the 1-2 pitch. Called strike 3, sit him down, Isaac Fowler digs in, 3-2 count, 2 on, 1 out. Here's the pitch, hit into left field over the shortstop's head. That's going to score at least 1. On his way home is Boudris. They're going to wave home Murphy as there's some trouble with that ball in left field. Murphy's going to score without a throw. It's a 2 RBI double for Chris Fowler, and the Beacons take the lead. Here's the payoff pitch. Hit back up the middle. Is this one going to hang up? Yeah, the wind killed it. They're giving Fowler the windmill. Here he comes. The throw is going to be cut off at the mound. 3-0 Beacons. RBI single for Nick Herzog. 3-2 swung on and missed. Got him with the off-speed stuff outside.
Herzog can really settle in after that tough start.
Hit into right field. Coming over, leaping up to make the grab. Payoff pitch to the lefty. Rounding down the first base line. Fair ball. It gets under the glove of Fowler. That's going to score 1 and rolls all the way to the corner. And now it's at the there up to second is Dan Gray with the dugout. This is hit past the glove of the lunging D where it gets in the right field. It's going to score a run. On across, holding at third is Herzog. It's Fowler across the plate. And RBI single. Swing and a miss, strike 3. First strikeout of the game. For Ben Gottesman, and there's 2 down.
First, second, third, and 2 out. Nowhere near as good. 1 out.
Ground ball too short. You beat a second for 1 on to first in time. Double play. 6-4-3 they go. You guys were just stuck. Inning shot to third. Could go a long way towards ending it. The second one on to first. Double play. 5-4-3 they go to.
So a perfect start to the season for UMass Boston, and today they will send a true freshman to the mound in Tyler Arruda, 6 foot, 200-pound righty from New Bedford, Massachusetts. We expect maybe a handful of pitchers today for Brendan Eigebrodt. In his 14th season as the head coach of UMass Boston, first pitch, a little bit low, called a ball. First pitch delivered at 3:02 Eastern Time. UMass Boston wearing the blue tops on the white pants. That pitch off speed finds a piece of the plate, called a strike, and that'll even the count at 1-1. First three batters due up for the MIT Engineers: Garrett Greenwood, the DH, David Heller, the third baseman, Matt Johnston, who will play in right field. That ball's ripped through the hole on the right side, and that's going to be a leadoff base hit for Garrett Greenwood. Greenwood appearing in his fourth game this year, batting just .154, but in the early going, that's going to bump the average pretty quickly.
The third baseman, number 6, David Heller.
So a hard hit ball to get things started off for Tyler Arruda on the mound. Graduated from Greater New Bedford Regional Vocational Technical High School. Say that 10 times fast. Has to be one of the longest high school names I've ever heard. He's an outstanding player at GNBR-VTHS. D2 Player of the Year. Received that honor from the Boston Globe and the Herald as well. That pitch missed to the two-hitter in the order, David Heller. Third baseman and a senior from Fair Lawn, New Jersey. That pitch off speed, just getting a piece there was David Heller. Jack Harrington working behind the plate today with the freshman starter. First base, Chris Fowler. Second baseman, Dave Murphy. Shortstop, Charlie Hughey. Third base, Kyle Boudris, our player to watch in this game today. Nick Herzog in left. Sal Frashino in center. And the right fielder is Wanderson Pinellas. Pitch fouled away again. Those three outfielders roaming the park. Modeled after the dimensions of Fenway Park. Just a few miles away. Got a mimicked green monster in left here with the chain link fence. 420 into the triangle in right center field. One on, nobody out. No score, top of the first. Turn and throw, keeping a close eye on Greenwood. Greenwood this year 0 for 1 on stolen base attempts. Taking a healthy lead on this all-turf infield. Another turn and throw low, that one nearly in time. Good glove up by the first baseman, Chris Fowler. Fowler, the top hitter on this club through the first two games. He's at .714. Runner goes, pitch out, off speed. The tag is applied and just a little late. So Greenwood swipes second base, and he finds himself in scoring position with nobody out. And now we'll see how Arruda works. Plate umpire, Mike Piantadosi. And the lone base umpire, Frank Auditor, is now stationed off the back right shoulder of Tyler Arruda. Takes a peek to second. Another big lead for G squared. Off-speed pitch, got the swing and miss. Johnston took a big rip on the first pitch he saw. 231 hitter this year. Got a home run and an RBI to his credit. Found some success against that nationally ranked Trinity University team. Step off and look to second there by Arruda. His pickoff moves have been pretty strong thus far. But Greenwood has a close eye on him. Closed off stance in the box for Johnson. Greenwood dancing around at second, nearly went booking for third. That pitch low and away to the right-hand batter. Ruda, a four-time All-Star, three-time All-State Super Team selection in high school as that ball bounces away. Greenwood on his way down to third. Now he's 90 feet away with one out. So strategy time here for MIT. Have an opportunity for a sacrifice fly if Johnston can put the ball in the air and deep enough. Quick meeting at the mound between the Beacons infielders. The count will read 2-1 with one gone. Still no score here in the top of the first inning. Ruda squared up to the batter at the plate. Target low and away. Great pitch, off speed, danced underneath the bat of Johnston. Now the count evens at 2-2. Here he comes. Inside, just to see if he'd go. 3-2 the count. Greenwood at third after his leadoff single. Off speed, swung on and missed. Strike three, and that's a huge out for the freshman. So after giving up the leadoff single, a couple Ks here for Aruda. And now with two outs and the runner standing at third, Greenwood now booking it for home again. He retreats as the cleanup hitter Thomas Allison digs in. Catcher without batting gloves on this chilly day. Checked his swing, held off, it's 1-0. Allison a .250 hitter this year. He's already scored 5 runs in 12 plate appearances. The 1-0. That's too low on a fastball. 2 balls and no strikes. Allison, a sophomore from Kingwood, Texas. Pitch is popped up to second and glove down. So Greenwood stranded at third, and Tyler Aruda gets out of the top of the first, puts up a scoreless frame, and the Beacons will bat when we come back here on the Beacons Broadcast Network. After his leadoff single, off speed, swung on and missed.
Paris changed my life,
Strike three,
and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris. The subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in, and a woman in a long gown. And it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. It's one of those moments you never forget.
So after a leadoff single to start this game, Garrett Greenwood goes to the mound. Left-handed pitcher, diminutive on the mound, just 5'9", 175 pounds. Looks down at Charlie Hughey, leadoff batter, called strike. It's 0-1. Greenwood listed on the lineup card as a pitcher and DH, so we expect him to remain at the top of the order to use his speed after he wears out that left arm. Pitch missed up and away, 1 ball and 1 strike. Charlie Hughey, the starting shortstop today, wearing number 29, his uniform. Off-speed pitch gets a piece back into the mesh. Native of Sandy Hook, Connecticut. Hughey with the slightly open stance. Straight up defensive alignment against him. Breaking ball down low in the turf. Gloved up by the catcher behind the plate, Thomas Allison. First baseman Kyle Coker. Second baseman Tony Rice. Shortstop is Ethan Rowland. Third baseman David Heller. That pitch is grounded to the left side. Sliding over the third baseman Heller. Bobbled it momentarily and then threw it away. Opportunity for two for Hughey. He'll get to second standing up. So we'll see how this one is scored. Potentially a hit and then a throwing error. They're showing an error on the board. I got the intention that maybe he would have beaten it out even with a good throw. So as it stands right now, Hughey at second after the E5. And now the lefty, Kyle Boudreaux. First pitch, breaking ball, just found a piece. Called a strike. Boudreaux batting .286 this year. Double and 3 total bases to his credit. Crouched in that wide open stance. That one dances low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Boudreaux, an infielder for Medford, Mass. Dave Murphy batting behind him. He's in the on-deck circle. Chris Fowler. See that outstanding batting average. He's followed by Herzog, McCormick, Pinellas, Harrington. And for Shino, the center fielder. That pitch framed on the outer edge. No strike called. Greenwood laboring here a bit in the bottom of the first. Turn and throw right on top of the bag. A little bit tough for the shortstop, Ethan Rowland, to handle. Beacons ranked at the top for the first time in school history. In fact, first program to reach that #1 ranking in the history of this athletics program. Good breaking ball, but took a little too long to break back toward the catcher, so 3-1 the count. Take a look at that defensive alignment again. Keep an eye on Trey Roberts in left field. Nobody out, runner on second. That pitch is sent sky high to the left fielder Roberts. Toward the line, makes the catch for out #1, and treating back to second is Charlie Hughey. So an F7 on the scorecard. And that'll bring up Dave Murphy. Murphy tied for the most runs scored on this team. He's got 4 this year. Along with the outstanding cleanup man, Chris Fowler, is due up next.
The second baseman, number 8, Dave Murphy.
Left-handed pitcher, right-handed batter. First pitch is low, bobbled by the catcher, Allison. Corrals just in time. One out, runner on second here. Still looking for that first score in the first. Breaking ball again, called a strike. Seeing a steady diet of breaking pitches here on this really chilly Tuesday afternoon. Murphy from Plymouth, Massachusetts. Sidelined throughout 2017 with an injury. Watches that pitch, a fastball in the dirt. 2-1 the count. Frustrating not to see Murphy on the field last season. 2016, such a banner year. Peek over to second. No trouble there for Hughie. In fact, he's not even going back to the bag. In 2016, Murphy led this team with a .599 slugging percentage. Second team all Little East Conference honors. That pitch well outside to make it 3-1. A community college transfer now batting in the 3-hole for these Beacons. Game of cat and mouse there with Roland, the shortstop. Hughie again unfazed. Reached there on a 2-base error to lead off the bottom of the first. 3-1. Off speed, clubbed high in the air, hooking down the left field line, and that'll drift foul. Over toward the football field and track facility for BC High School, right next door. BC High School, a huge win in the D1A Boys State Hockey Tournament last night over St. John's Prep. The Eagles are moving on in the winner's bracket, getting closer to TD Garden. The 3-2. That's low and away. So a one-out walk, 2 men aboard, and here comes Fowler. The senior All-American who ripped a double, had a pair of RBIs yesterday against Brandeis. Beacons plated 3 runs in the first. Got an extra run later for insurance. First pitch off speed, maybe a little bit high, 0-1. Fowler with a couple ducks on the pond. Still scoreless, bottom of the first inning. Greenwood throws. Fastball right down the pipe and called a strike. Fowler has 5 hits, 2 doubles this year. 4 ribbies to his credit. Lefty-lefty matchup. All white bat in hand. Another peek to second. That pitch called a strike. And now, Fowler finds himself behind 1-2. Fowler, another transfer from Wheaton College in Massachusetts. What an addition he's been. Throw over to second, off the bag. Hughie's been busy down there. Murphy filled in behind him after the 1-out walk. Just 1 hit on the scoreboard, and that belonged to MIT in the top of the first. Tyler Aruda, the freshman pitcher, stranded a runner at third. Keep it scoreless. Called strike 3 there, though. Dispatches Chris Fowler. And he knew it right away. So the backwards K after the looking strikeout. And now with 2 gone and 2 on, it's Nick Herzog. Herzog, the junior righty. First pitch, fastball missed up and away. Greenwood making his second appearance on the mound this year. Went an inning down in Texas against Trinity. And recorded a strikeout. Paints the corner there, and it's 1-1. Herzog with the old school stirrups pulled up to his knees. Trying to drive in a run here with 2 outs. Hughie will be booking it on contact. That's a little up. UMass Boston riding a 3-game winning streak against these MIT Engineers. Trying to draw first blood here. 2 outs, 2 on. And now time is called. Greenwood trying to work out of some trouble after the E5 to lead things off. 2-1. Another good breaking ball. Now it's all 2s. Target set up inside on Herzog. The payoff pitch is swung on and missed. Held on for strike 3, and that's a couple Ks to get out of the jam for Garrett Greenwood. So despite a couple runners aboard, we're still scoreless heading to the 2nd inning. MIT and UMass Boston here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
The University of Massachusetts Boston. It's just minutes from downtown, and the Princeton Review calls it one of the best values in the country. A nationally recognized institution of academic excellence and research, UMass Boston offers more than 150 undergraduate and graduate programs, 16 Division III sports, and more than 100 student organizations. To learn more about the opportunities waiting for you at UMass Boston, visit in person or online. UMass Boston, a research university with a teaching soul.
Kyler Coker leading off the top of the 2nd inning here. UMass Boston, MIT knotted up at 0 apiece. I'm Kevin Gale, thanking you for tuning in to the Beacons Broadcast Network. Top-ranked UMass Boston. Riding a freshman pitcher on the mound. Tyler Aruda. Stranded a runner at 3rd in the top half of the 1st inning. Quickly ahead 0-2 here. On the 5-hitter in the Engineers' order. Off speed, sent high in the air down the first base line. Ranging over there to take a look. Pinellas, and watch it sail foul. Out of the field of play. Andy Barlow back for his 15th season as the head coach of this Engineers team. The 0-2 again. Off speed, called strike 3. It really takes Mark Piantadosi a while to make that call, but that's just the chilly weather. Any way you slice it, that was pretty work by Aruda, who's now got 3 strikeouts in the game. Rollins swings away at the first pitch, sends it sky high into center field. Shino comes all the way in and makes the grab for out number 2. So, good start here for Aruda in the top of the 2nd. Worked slowly in the 1st with the speedy Garrett Greenwood aboard. Economical with his pitches thus far. And now he'll face a lefty in Trey Roberts. Starting left fielder today, crowded in. Pitch is too low in the turf. 1-0 the count. That's ball 2. Called a strike. Roberts already with credit for a triple this year. Chops that pitch straight into the turf. Easy play at first for Fowler. That's how the top of the second comes to an end. A 1-2-3 inning for the freshman pitcher in his first start, Tyler Arruda. And we're still scoreless here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Ryan McCormick, Wanderson Pinellas, and Jack Harrington.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny, nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
UMass Boston Beacons still looking for their first hit as we begin the bottom of the second inning. Middle of the order due up here, Ryan McCormick, the DH. Wanderson Pinellas on deck, Jack Harrington waiting in the hole. Garrett Greenwood, the lefty starter, back on the bump. First two pitches outside the zone, 2-0. McCormick, a sophomore, wearing number 16. 6-foot-tall lefty. That pitch right down the middle for strike one. Cumberland, Rhode Island native. Batting .571 in the early campaign. He's already got 2 RBIs. That one's low. 3-1 the count now. Thought about it, watched it instead. Thought it may have been ball 4. Instead, he's back in there for a 3-2. The payoff, just getting a piece there, McCormick. And he'll stay alive for another. Greenwood's 3-2. Breaking pitch, grounded softly down to first. Easy play there for Coker, 3 unassisted. And that's out number 1. So Wanderson Pinellas steps in next. The fleet-footed righty wearing lucky number 13.
The right fielder, number 13.
From Bani in the Dominican Republic. What a baseball hotbed that is. First pitch outside. Nelson briefly asked for an appeal. They wanted a new baseball. Pinellas, another transfer from Western Oklahoma State College. Another fastball that missed. 125 hitter this year. He does have a home run. The 2-0. Swung on. They've jammed him up a little bit. Fly out shallow right field. Rice snagged it from his second base position. Now with 2 gone and nobody on, it's the catcher, Jack Harrington.
The catcher, number 18, Jack Harrington.
Harrington, a transfer from Little East Conference rival UMass Dartmouth. His second appearance this year. The big lefty awaits. Swings away and hammers that into the mesh. 0-2 the count. So both pitchers faced a little drama in the first inning. A couple runners in scoring position. Much more effective here in the second. Look Looking for back-to-back 1, 2, 3 innings. That's too high for ball one. Two outs, nobody on. No score, bottom of the second. That one's just a little bit low, and Greenwood was halfway to the dugout. Two-two. That's too low. Dances away from the catcher, Allison. Now the count is full. Payoff. Swung on, bouncing ball down the first base line. Charging there is Coker, and he's got it in time for the out. So a couple 1, 2, 3 innings for Arruda and Greenwood, and we are still scoreless heading to the third here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
Eight, 9-1, 2 up for MIT here in the top of the third inning. Still no score against the UMass Boston Beacons. I'm Kevin Gale, welcoming you back to the Beacons Broadcast Network. First pitch is too low to Tony Rice. Second baseman still looking for his first hit this year. Off speed, good one. 1-1 the count. So Arruda cruising along here. The righty making his first start. Another great off-speed pitch. Swung on and missed. Makes it 1-2. Boudris playing even with the base at third. Steps back as that pitch misses low at the toes. 2 balls and 2 strikes. That one's low and in, and the count is full. UMass Boston trying to finish off this opening homestand with a perfect record. 3-2. Swung on, bouncing ball, left side, off the glove of Boudris at third, and that's going to roll into shallow left field. Lost his lid as well, and Rice finds himself aboard safely at first. We'll wait to see how that one scored. Tough play for the third baseman moving to his left. Center fielder Jared Schwait will dig in from the left side. Schwait from Boca Raton in Florida. Arruda showing off that pickoff move again. Is back to the runner over at first. Showing bunt. Pulling it back in time is Jared Schwait. Schwait appearing in his 4th game, batting just .111 this year. Got a runner on first with nobody out. Aruta's 1-0. Gets the bunt back again. 2 balls and no strikes. Boogers playing well in at third. This one lofted over to first. Just to keep an eye on Tony Rice. That's bunted back to the pitcher. Aruda going straight over to first, takes the easy out. Fowler keeping a close eye at Tony Rice, who advances to second. So after the E5 and the sacrifice, Tony Rice is in scoring position. And we'll go back to the top of the order with our starting pitcher, Garrett Greenwood. Greenwood singled to lead off the game. Rips another pitch. That one gloved up by the second baseman, Murphy. Easily played over to first. 2 gone just like that. But Rice stands 90 feet away. 4-3 dispatches Greenwood, and now David Heller. 0 for 1 today with a strikeout. Heller, the doubles leader for this MIT squad. First pitch breaking ball, too low. 1-0 the count. Low but in the zone, called a strike there. Two outs, runner on third. Still scoreless here in the top of the third. Good pitching thus far. That one breaks way upstairs. Heller is sophomore, standing 5'10". Lucky is not too much taller after that one. 2-1. Swung on, belted into center field. Frashino over to the alley and makes the catch for out number 3. So for the second time today, Tyler Aruda strands a runner at third, and we are still scoreless. Bottom of the third we go here at Monin Park on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
I'm the first undergraduate alumnus to lead this university. I'm very proud of that. I was literally able to transform my life because of the University of Massachusetts, and I want that for every single student that walks through the door.
Nine-hitter Sal Frashino leads off the bottom of the third inning. Looks at a first pitch breaking ball for a strike. No runs, no hits, 1 error for UMass Boston. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error for the MIT Engineers. That pitch called a strike. Quickly 0-2 to Frashino. Love the final out in the top half of this third inning. Tony Rice stranded at third. Aruta's threw 3 innings clean in his debut. Greenwood, a little chin music there to Frashino. The 1-2. Grounded to second. Rice flips to first. 4-3 on the putout. So we go back to the top of the order. Charlie Hughie, one of just 2 Beacons to reach base thus far. He got there following a leadoff error at third by Heller. And then Murphy, the only other man to reach. That was also in the first. He got aboard on a walk.
The shortstop, number 29, Charlie Hughie.
Wind blowing slightly in from right center field. First pitch was swung on and missed. Beacons getting ready for a trip down to Florida. The Russ Matt Invitational. 8-game schedule down in Lakeland. Upstairs, ball 1. St. John Fisher College, Nichols College, RIT, Rowan University, SUNY Oswego, Spalding. All on the schedule ahead. Pitch dances low and in. 2-1 the count. Greenwood making his first start this year, batting in the leadoff spot. Throws that one down low. 3 balls and 1 strike. MIT back home for its first homestand of the 2018 campaign. Pitch framed for a strike, looked a little outside, but Hughie stays up there 3-2. Western New England, Bates, and Southern Maine all up next for the Engineers. That one's down in the turf, and it's a 1-out walk. Hughie aboard for the second time today. And now we'll see Kyle Boudris.
The third baseman, number 15, Kyle Boudris.
Boudris, all-league second team last year. Swings away at the first pitch. Pops it into shallow right field, and that'll drop for a base hit. Wasting no time. Got a breaking ball he liked, and it's the first hit of the ball game for UMass Boston. So now Dave Murphy can do some damage. Runners on first and second and 1 out. Murphy stranded at first, back in the first. Murphy named to the D3Baseball.com Team of the Week. After that impressive 20-1 win to open the campaign. Throw down to third, not in time. That's a stolen bag for Hughie. Boudris stays at first. And now the Beacons have runners on the corners. Trying to break this scoreless tie here in the bottom of the third. Just 1 hit apiece. Pitchers duel with that wind starting to whip. Blowing straight into the batter's face. Greenwood, with his back to the lead runner, throws that well outside. In that season opener against LaSalle, he pounded the ball. Finished 3 for 5 with 4 RBIs and 3 runs scored. The 1-1. That's too low. 2 balls and 1 strike. In his first at bat, senior ripped an inside the park home run. What a start to the season. Now he's got a chance to drive one in here. The 2-1. That's taken for a strike. Greenwood trying to strand a runner in scoring position for the second time today. Ground ball could get him out of trouble, but that's hooked foul down the third base line. 2-2. Chopped foul again. Greenwood taking some time on the mound here. Blew into that left hand, trying to keep it warm on this cold day. Another 2-2. Reaching out, getting a piece. Sent into right field. Catch made for out number 2. Runner tagging from third. Hughie's going to score without a throw. Cut off in the middle of the infield by Coker. And the Beacons come through first. An RBI for Dave Murphy, and it's 1-0 here in the bottom of the third. Sac fly, RBI. Simple as that. Murphy's 5th RBI this year. First pitch called a strike. Chris Fowler 0 for 1 today, looking strikeout back in the first. And he was frustrated. So a 1-out walk to Hughie, followed by a single in right field by Boudris, and the sac fly into right by Murphy. Hard hit ball down to first. Big pop up in the air, but Coker played it easily, and that's how the third inning comes to an end. But the Beacons break the scoreless tie, and we go to the fourth. UMass Boston in front of MIT, 1-0 on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
Welcome back to UMass Boston Baseball on the Beacons Broadcast Network. We take a look around Beaconville now. Lacrosse hosting MIT at 4:30 today. Just like this baseball matchup here. Indoor track and field traveling to Alabama. The NCAA D3 National Championships. And softball opens the season in Florida against Elizabethtown coming up on Saturday morning. Beacons baseball looking for a perfect 3-0 homestand to start this campaign. First pitch slugged foul down the first base line. Tyler Aruda, very solid in his debut as a freshman on the mound. No runs in 1 hit, really only an error behind him. Put a runner in scoring position. The 0-1, chopped high to third. Easy throw across the diamond, 5-3 on the putout.
And Kevin, I think the thing that's been most impressive is the off-speed pitches for both of these teams. We've seen great stuff from Greenwood, but I think Aruda's also shown some pretty good late movement as well. Neither guy seems too phased by the very cold temperatures.
And that wind is what really can make it difficult out there. Righty facing righty here. First pitch called a strike. Thomas Allison up there, the catcher batting cleanup. 0 for 1. Lined out to second back in that first inning. That left the runner stranded at third. Good breaking pitch, like you said. And it's quickly 0-2.
It also helps that Piatin, don't quite know how to pronounce his last name, but either way, he's calling a very interesting strike zone. He's given a lot where the batters have been happy, but when it's as cold as it is today, I think that everyone sides with a slightly shorter game. Get the bats off your shoulder and actually earn the game rather than win this one by really picking and choosing your spots. Piantindosi? Is that how we were going with?
Take another look at it. Piantindosi.
There we go.
Piantindosi. That's ripped back up the middle. Diving attempt at second. Nothing there. That's a base hit into center field. Murphy gave it everything he had, but that's a quality single for Thomas Allison.
Probably the hardest hit ball thus far against Aruda. Really good contact right back up the middle. And that's what MIT's looking for. They had a great first game down in Texas, putting up 10 runs, but then just 8 runs in their next 2 games and had their 4th game canceled because of heavy rain on Saturday night.
Kyle Coker, the first baseman. We're keeping a close eye on those runners at first. Coker, a big boy, 6'3", 200 pounds. The pitch. Checked his swing, didn't matter. 0-1 the count.
I think Coker thought that pitch was going to be well off the plate, and it ended up being just on the outside corner. Aruda and Greenwood have fooled a couple of batters today with how their pitches have just ended up close enough.
Pitch out just to keep a close eye on Allison at first. Allison has yet to attempt to steal this year. You were telling me before the game that Brendan Eigebrodt might send out 4 or 5 different pitchers today, but let's see how far Aruda can go. Off-speed pitch, called a strike. Throw is late and offline down to second. So a stolen base there for Allison. He's in scoring position with 1 out.
Well, the one big thing with the Beacons catchers this season is who can play the best defensive ball and who also has the arm to really limit the running game. The one negative for Jack Harrington is his arm isn't quite as strong as Ryan McCormick, who started the first 2 games behind the dish. He's the DH today, and he hasn't been able to limit the game thus far.
Did he get a piece? No, he didn't. Swinging strike 3.
Another batter walking away frustrated. I'm not sure if he fully went around there or if it was a called third strike. Either way, I've seen a couple of instances where batters have thought they had another pitch in the at-bat, and Piantindosi has waved them back to the dugout.
4th strikeout today for the freshman. And now with 2 outs, he faces Rolland. Rolland 0 for 1 today. Sent a fly ball into deep right center field. The 1-0. Breaks just a little bit too low. 2 balls and no strikes. Aruda with the 1-0 advantage after the RBI sac fly by Dave Murphy in the bottom of the 3rd. Runner at second is Allison. That pitch grounded to the shortstop. Hughie charges, throws, off balance, but what a great toss. Another scoreless inning for the freshman starter, Tyler Aruda. He's through 4, and the Beacons have that 1-0 lead here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Cheer for the stumbles. That he should have had that. And the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There, you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified. It's in those moments that champions are born.
Around Little East Conference baseball today, UMass Dartmouth leading Worcester State, or should I say tied up now with Worcester State, 1-1 in the fourth inning. Plymouth State and Framingham State knotted up at nothing apiece in the second. We welcome you back to Monin Park on the Beacons Broadcast Network. I'm Kevin Gale, joined by Seth Orensky. UMass Boston picked to finish first in the Little East Conference this year. 5 first-place votes, leading University of Southern Maine, the only other team to receive any first-place votes.
Well, and Southern Maine ranked 10th this week. They'll start their season in Florida, I think, on Sunday or Monday. They don't start till the 10th. But they're another team that's receiving a lot of love in the D3Baseball.com poll.
Nick Herzog leading away here. Ground sharply to the shortstop. Rolland makes the throw over to first. 6-3 on the putout. Now, we were talking earlier in the game about that first ever #1 ranking for UMass Boston Baseball, but also the first ever #1 ranking for any of these athletic teams. What does that mean to this university here at the Division III level?
Well, it means a lot for these players, and certainly the school is pretty happy, but it's been a historic couple of days here at UMass Boston. Yesterday, Colin Larkin, a member of the men's hockey team, signed the first ever NHL entry-level contract with the Edmonton Oilers, so he'll have a chance to make the roster next season, finish off the year with the AHL Bakersfield Condors. Let's talk about the baseball team, and they're happy to be there. #1 early in the season is great. Obviously, you want to end the season at #1, but the track and field team, the women's team, currently ranked 2nd going into the national championship meet. So they could be fighting for a #1 overall spot in a national championship this weekend in Alabama. A lot of good things going on in UMass Boston athletics here in 2017-18.
DH Ryan McCormick at the plate, swings and grounds that foul. I believe this was also the first year that men's and women's basketball and men's and women's ice hockey all hosted in the postseason.
Yep, hosted a playoff game. Women's basketball making their first ever NCAA tournament.
Beacon's athletic program certainly rising as that one's ripped foul toward the lacrosse pregame now going on next door at BC High.
Yeah, another UMB-MIT contest.
Coming up at 4:30. Busy day on campus. 1 out, nobody on. Off speed, grounded down to the first baseman. Coker handled the hot shot and went to the bag unassisted.
What's been interesting with Greenwood, not only does he have really good off-speed stuff, because it's not an overpowering fastball, but he's been able to keep everything down in the zone. Beacons haven't been able to lace anything deep into the outfield.
So rarely do you see at the college level a pitcher batting in that leadoff position, but this guy led the team with a .365 batting average last year. Had an 11-game hit streak in the middle of the campaign. That's popped up foul toward the parking garage next door by Wanderson Pinellas, who's 0 for 1 today, popped out to second. That was back in the second inning.
Well, this is just a tough season for MIT because they have to replace not only Austin Flair, who was a junior last year. That shows how impressive a player he was, but also David Hessling, their #1 starter. A lot of holes to fill for a very talented MIT coaching staff.
And in the meantime, Greenwood just picked up his 3rd K of the game. It's a 1-2-3 inning, and we go to the 5th. UMass Boston still in front of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. 1-0 here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Moving from Turkey, it was a rough journey for me because when you don't really speak the language that well and when you don't really fit in the crowd, it's very easy to disappear. But I decided not to give up, and UMass helped me.
Tyler Arruda chasing a win in his first career start for the UMass Boston Beacons. He's gone through 4 scoreless innings, allowed 2 hits, struck out 4 MIT Engineers. 1-0 the score here. Bottom 3 hitters in the order due up for the Engineers. Trey Roberts leading off, Tony Rice on deck, Jared Schwait waiting in the hole. The 1-0 coming. Swung on and missed. Maybe just getting a piece there was Roberts. 0 for 1 today. Weekly grounded out to first base back in the 2nd inning.
And this isn't easy hitting weather for anybody, but I think it's probably a little bit harder for MIT because you're down in Texas, probably get pretty good weather. Now all of a sudden it's a 20, 30, maybe even 40-degree drop, and everything stings a lot on the hands. The Beacons played yesterday. They know how cold it is here in New England. So MIT was down in Texas for 3 and then maybe practiced outside yesterday.
Beacons lucky they scheduled this game today. We've got another winter storm rolling in tomorrow. 1-2 pitch. Forget about it. K number 5. Arruda pulled the string. And that's 1 out in gorgeous fashion here in the top of the 5th. Made Trey Roberts look foolish there on swinging strike 3. And now Tony Rice will take his hacks. One of just 3 Engineers to reach base today. So on that error at third base back in the 3rd. He eventually reached third base where he was stranded. Another great off-speed delivery, and it's 0-2 just like that. "16 batters faced and 5 Ks for Arruda." The 0-2. Swung on, golfed sky high into left field. Herzog, calling off his shortstop, makes the grab. He was fighting the wind, but read it well for out number 2. F7 on the scorecard, and now Jared Schwait will bat with 2 gone and nobody on.
The center fielder, number 1, Jared Schwait.
First pitch grounded foul, just a few inches wide of first base. Arruda takes a deep breath, shakes off a sign from Harrington, and now he'll reset. Well, if you're the Beacons, you've got to be thrilled with this rookie on the bump today.
Well, Beacons probably didn't hope that he would have to carry as much on his shoulders right now, but with JT Morin a little bit banged up to start the season, Arruda might have to fill that weekday role where you're throwing your 3rd best starter against that top team in the midweek, whether it be a Salve Regina or an Endicott. But with 4, 5, even 6 games a week, you need that pitching depth. Even if he's a freshman, he's showing that he's a very talented freshman.
And he hit the spot there. Harrington set it up wide just to see they can get Schwait to chase. There is a Beacon warming up in the pen. 3-1. That's up and away for ball 4.
That's Mike Doherty, another very talented freshman out of Brewster, Mass. Guy the Beacons are very high on. He'll probably come on for the 6th unless we see a lot of trouble for Arruda here over the next couple batters.
Arruda's got to get through 1 more batter to qualify for the win.
And he'll have a conversation here with Daniel Gamble, Beacons pitching coach.
And I like this from the pitching coach here. Just a quick reset, give him some time, talk him through it. And it's one of the more dangerous hitters in the order, Garrett Greenwood back up there, who's been no slouch on the mound today himself.
Yeah, well, you talked about a guy who had one of the better batting averages a season ago, a guy who's hit decently well this year. You just want to make sure that you're all on the same page, and this isn't a guy you want to let beat you. Even with a runner on first base, you can maybe be a little bit selective here in a 1-run game. With 2nd and 3rd open, rather than potentially giving up an extra base hit and tying it at this point.
Greenwood led off with a single, grounded out to 2nd back in the 3rd. The lefty swings away at the first pitch, ropes it into left. So his second single today. Station to station goes Schwait. He's now at second base. With that runner in scoring position, we'll keep an eye on Aruda. See how much longer he can last.
Well, if we look over at the stats, 55 pitches, 65 pitches. Very difficult to read lips. At least I'm bad at it. Some people, I'm sure, are very good at it. But just guess and check. 66. So off by 1. Either way, he's probably on a 75-pitch count limit. Brendan Eigebrelt never wants to see his pitchers overexert themselves early on in this season.
He's facing Heller, who's 0 for 2 today with a K. The 0-1. Runners go. That's driven into right field for a base hit. Green light around third. Here comes Schwait. He'll score. The throw cut off at first. It's a 2-out RBI single for David Heller, and this game is tied 1-1. So Aruda just couldn't get that third out here in the top of the fifth. Trying to hold on for at least a best case scenario, and no decision at this point. Runners at the corners. Greenwood with his speed went first to third on the RBI base knock.
And this is a big spot. Limit the damage. Get yourself out of the jam. Despite the cold weather, the Beacons offense has proven they should be able to put up a couple of runs. But this has been some nice hitting from MIT. They worked the walk with 2 outs. Good approach early in counts as they recognize that Aruda is probably going to give them something pretty good to hit early.
Matt Johnston, the righty. Swings away, got a piece, fouled it off the catcher, Harrington, and he's going to walk that off.
Yeah, it's never fun, especially when it's as cold as it is.
Wind has died down just a bit. Continues blowing into this diamond at Monin Park. Four hits for MIT. They've finally come through for their first run of the day. Greenwood at third, Heller at first. Johnson 0 for 2 with a K. Trying to drive in another. Step and look there by Aruda. Aruda now at 70-plus pitches. Trying to leave this a 1-1 game in the top of the fifth. His 1-1. Breaking ball ripped foul. Left to the foul pole all the way, but Johnston got a pitch to hit, and he went after it.
Yeah, just a little bit early on that. That ball was clubbed out to left, but fortunately was tailing foul very early.
Two outs, 2 on. Aruda's 1-2. Swung on, lifted down the first base line, and that 2 will drift foul.
That's actually a more dangerous area. There's so much ground to cover out there in right field, especially down by the line. And if it gets down over there, it's typically 2, maybe 3 bases. Could have easily scored 2 runs with 2 down in the inning.
Just like Fenway Park, it shoots from about 310 to 380 really quick. Huge alley down there in right field. 1-2 again. Grounded back to Aruda. Quickly over to first. And he strands a pair, but not before David Heller comes through with a 2-out RBI single to tie up the game. 1-1 as we head to the bottom of the fifth inning. Looks like Aruda's day is done, but a great debut for the freshman. 4 hits, 1 run, 5 Ks. Stay with us. This is the Beacons Broadcast Network.
The University of Massachusetts Boston, with its scenic oceanfront campus, easily accessible to downtown Boston, is recognized as a model of excellence for urban public universities. 16 NCAA Division III sports are part of the more than 100 student organizations that create an engaging campus life in America's biggest and best college town. UMass Boston, Boston's urban public research university for the 21st century.
1 run on 1 hit with 1 error for UMass Boston. 1 run on 4 hits with 1 error for MIT. 1-1 the score as the bottom of the 5th inning begins. Tyler Aruda gives up the game-tying 2-out RBI single to MIT in the top of the 5th, and now the Beacons will try to get it right back against Garrett Greenwood, the starter who remains in there for MIT. His first pitch drifted inside to the 8-hitter for the Beacons, Jack Harrington. 0 for 1 today, grounded out down to first base in the 2nd inning. That pitch finds a piece of the plate, 1-1 the count. Greenwood's gone 4 complete innings. Walked 2, struck out 3. Is 1-1. Inside, and that hit him. Not much pace on that breaking ball, so Harrington should be okay. He'll take his base after the first hit by pitch of the day. So let's see if that's a rally starter for UMass Boston, the #1 ranked team in NCAA Division III. MIT making the short drive from Cambridge, Massachusetts, right across the Charles River. Sal Frascino, 0 for 1 with a ground out. Greenwood lobs over to first. Harrington, the starting catcher, who's been getting banged up here in the 5th inning, took a foul tip off his chest protector in the top half of this inning. Now he's at first after the hit by pitch. Trying to attempt a bunt there is Frascino, but it popped back foul.
And this is where Frascino really makes his bread and butter between his bunting and his speed and his defense. Had 9 sacrifice bunts a season ago, has over 20 for his career. This guy who not only can bunt to get down a sac bunt, but also can bunt for a hit. I'll probably try to drag it down the first base line.
Looking for his first sacrifice this year. Shows it again, pulls it back, evens the count at 1-1.
Kevin, we talked about the cold before the game. It's so cold that one of our cameras has just stopped working.
Really?
Yeah. Always a pleasant surprise in the middle of a game.
Real field down to 28 degrees with that wind. Did Frascino get a piece?
They say that he didn't pull it back in time. I think it's 1-2 at this point.
So hard to tell. Piantedosi is just so casual behind the dish. He kind of just said, yeah, kind of a casual point.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to not move as much as possible.
He's not expelling much energy. Big lead at first for Harrington. Letting the arm hang, 1-2. Take in just a bit outside. Well, that was close.
Certainly looked good from our angle.
Looks like the bunt may be off now for Frascino with 2 strikes. Two. Swings and misses. Got out in front of that off-speed offering, and that's his first strikeout today. 4th K for Greenwood on the bump. Harrington remains at first, and now we'll go back to the top of the order with Charlie Hughey, who's been on base twice today. Wide open stance from the right-hand box. First pitch, dances back in, but a little off the plate. 1-0 the count. Hughey scored the lone run for UMass Boston back in the 3rd. 1-0. Fastball called a strike. Hughey walked, moved to second on a single, stole third, and scored on the sac fly by Dave Murphy. Harrington goes, but that one's pulled foul down the third base line.
Yeah, not the ideal place to hit the ball as part of a hit and run, but if he'd been able to push that one just past the third baseman, Harrington might have been able to score. Harrington was close to second base, the point that ball bounced just foul.
Heller clapping his hands down at third, trying to stay loose. 1-2 now. Off speed. Called strike 3, better late than never.
Yeah, called strike 3, maybe a labored strike 3.
Similar to what you see in softball, where they actually say that the umpire has to verbalize the call and then signal it. But Piantedosi just looks like a man who could use some Excedrin. He looks sore out there. First pitch is well short of the plate, bounced in. Kyle Boudris, 1 for 2 today with a single, well hit into right field back in the third.
It's the only Beacons hit.
All ones, 1 run, 1 hit, 1 error. The 1-0. Swung on and missed. Good late life on that pitch.
This is what we were worried about a little bit for UMass Boston, getting that #1 national ranking, then struggling. But I think really this has just been more Greenwood pitching extremely well and the weather making it difficult to get good contact.
Bounce down to the first baseman, nothing Coker could do. Shifting to his right, trying to go first to third here is Harrington. He slides, but the throw beats him to the corner. Beautiful throw from right field, and that's how the 5th inning comes to an end. So Harrington getting aggressive there, but UMass Boston will head to the 6th, tied up at 1 with MIT on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Division III allows you to give yourself to other things.
Having that free time allows me to pursue the things that I want to pursue.
Division III athletics affords students the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport.
It allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
UMass Boston 1, MIT 1 as the 6th inning begins, and we've got a new pitcher into the ball game for UMass Boston. Beacons call on their 2nd freshman to make his collegiate debut. This is Mike Doherty, 6 feet tall, 240-pound righty from Brewster, Massachusetts. He follows Tyler Aruda, who looked very good in his debut. 5 complete innings, 1 run, 4 hits, just 1 error back behind him. He also struck out 5 batters. It's the 2-out RBI single that sent him away in line for the no decision here. As Doherty takes over, first pitch swung on, lofted into shallow right field, tough play, and a basket catch. That's pretty from the 2nd baseman, Murphy.
It's a former shortstop who, well, probably would rather be over at shortstop, recognizes the talent of Charlie Hughey, a guy who replaced him last year when he was injured. But Murphy showing off the range there. Very nice play from Dave. One of them, probably the most difficult he's had to make thus far as a 2nd baseman.
Fighting against that win as well, so Thomas Allison goes away. And that'll bring up Kyle Coker, the first baseman, 0 for 2 with a couple Ks. He was Aruta's favorite target. Yo, 1. Fastball too low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Doherty, a football, baseball, and indoor track athlete in high school. Atlantic Coast League first team selection. As a pitcher, is 1-1, called a strike. Born January 28th, 1999. That's scary.
Yep,
We're
it's
going
to
to
happen.
We're going to have kids born in the 2000s at the college level very soon. Ay, ay, ay. The 1-2. Fouled back, and we'll do it again. One of 6 kids in his family. Appearing out of the pen at Monin Park today is 1-2. Fouled back. One, 2 again. Breaking ball called strike 3. Ring him up, sit him down. First career K for Mike Doherty.
Well, these freshmen have looked really good today. Beacons went with pretty much the same 2 or 3 pitchers out of the pen in their first 2 games. They knew they wanted to use a couple different arms today, and both Aruda and Doherty are not showing any kind of nerves in their first collegiate outings.
No scouting report on these 2 freshmen making their debut, and that's been bad news for Kyle Coker. Now 0 for 3 with 2 swinging strikeouts, and that looky-loo for his 3rd. Ethan Rollin back up there. He's 0 for 2 today. Third baseman coming in. Boudris swings it across his body. Oh, it looked like he was about to call him out and then decided to go safe instead. Frank Auditor threw up the safe sign at the last second.
Well, we've got the benefits of instant replay, whereas Frank doesn't. I'd love to see this one again. It looked like it was going to be a hit, and then only you and I are watching this, Kevin, right now. I think it was the right call. So we'll bring it to you live in just a moment, but I think the base runner just barely beat the throw from Boudris. We'll have to bring that in slow-mo. It was so close.
Footwork by Auditor at first made me think that he was about to ring him up, but I think you're right. It made the right call as that one is lasered foul down the first base line.
Let's take a look at it right now for a second time. And that is on me. Apparently I didn't start at the right point.
Two outs, runner on first here. Looked like a good call. Target set up away from the lefty Roberts.
Let's try it a second time.
So an infield single for Rollin, his first of the day. But a great effort on the throw across the diamond. 1-1 the score, top of the 6th inning. That's a bullet over to first on the pickoff by Doherty.
I think the issue there for Boudris was it was awkward because Doherty was there, so he had to avoid his own pitcher while also making the throw. Boudris doesn't have the strongest arm, and still a very close play.
Swung on and missed.
See why
pitch thrown down low.
See why UMass Boston's high on this freshman. He's got a power arm. Typically helps when you played football. Possibly a lineman or a tight end, and he's been able to keep everything down. That's so important at the college level when all these hitters not only can hit a little bit better, but they're bigger as well.
That one drops low and in. 1-2 the count now. Framed, called strike 3. couple looking strikeouts in the first inning of work for Mike Doherty. This game remains 1-1 as we head to the bottom of the sixth. I'm Kevin Gale with Seth Orensky here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and I know how powerful words can be. The term gay doesn't mean stupid, lame, or less than.
So I pledge to speak up if I hear the term gay used in a derogatory way or any other homophobic terms.
If you can play in Division III.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and my teammates unconditionally accepted me as part of their family. So now I pledge to do the same for others. If you can play in Division III.
New pitcher into the ball game, a lefty named Adam Katz. He's already appeared once this year. 3.00 earned run average. Left-handed thrower in his freshman campaign out of Mount Kisco, New York. He replaces the leadoff hitter for MIT and starting pitcher Garrett Greenwood, who looked really good through the first 5 innings of this one, and he leaves in line for the no decision after MIT gave him a run back in the top half of the 5th inning. Final line for Garrett Greenwood in this one. 1 earned run on 2 hits, walked 2, struck out 5. And now we'll get our first look at Adam Katz. 5'9", 170 pounds, and he'll face the heart of the order as Dave Murphy wastes no time. That's a high fly ball into center field, and that's trouble. Rolling up against the wall, Schwade has a long run to it, wide turnaround second, and Murphy retreats back into the Keystone as that throw gets away in foul territory behind third base, and Murphy wisely will stay right there with a leadoff double.
That was absolutely crushed. The first ball today we've seen that's ended up over the head of an outfielder. Wind might have played a little bit of a factor, but either way, that's the Murphy that we've come to expect to see. When it heats up, Murphy's going to be putting balls over the monster. But right now, with the temperatures the way they are, just getting on base, and that's huge right now for UMass Boston. As they quickly attack Katz, the relief pitcher. Looks to be a similar, at least in terms of stature, kind of pitcher to Greenwood, another short lefty.
Katz up against it now, throws that pitch well inside to Fowler. 2 guys that can really make you pay back-to-back in the order, 3 and 4. Fowler looking for his first base knock today.
Says a lot about Greenwood. Fowler came in with a .778 on base percentage after reaching all 4 times yesterday.
Greenwood had some great off-speed pitches. A lot of motion and late life. The 1-0. Inside, that gets away from the catcher. Murphy's going to stay put at second. Went about a third of the way just to see how far that would roll away from Allison behind the dish, and the MIT catcher got there just in time to keep him at second.
Well, the one thing about Dave is coming off an injury, like a sports hernia injury, he's lost a little bit of speed. Wasn't the fastest guy in the world to begin with, and with no outs, no reason to potentially get that first out at third base.
Katz has lost his control here. 3-0 the count. Everything low, and that was just a fastball buried.
This is not an easy spot as a freshman to come in against the heart of the order in a 1-1 game against the #1 team in the country. I was looking at a couple other things during the half inning. Is this his first collegiate outing, or did he see time down in Texas?
He did see some time.
Nonetheless, Still not the easiest spot. Cats a little bit closer to home. Originally out in New York, here in Boston, than he was down in Texas.
MIT gave up 10 runs in the bottom of the 4th inning in their finale down in Texas. Beacons would love to string together a couple here.
I think 2 or 3 runs might be enough.
In the meantime, that's a 4-pitch walk to Fowler. First time he's been on base today. He fills in behind Murphy at second, and now Nick Herzog has the table set, and we'll get a visit to the mound.
I think this is Todd Carroll, one of the assistant coaches for MIT. He's pretty active on social media. One of the few assistant coaches I think I've ever seen be very active and sort of a voice of a program. But he's got his own sense of humor on Twitter. And a guy who's, and when UMass Boston's had success, has shown his appreciation. MIT's a team that's had a good amount of success a couple years ago. They really haven't had as much the past 2 seasons when it's been more of the Wheaton and Babson show out of the New England Women's and Men's Athletic Conference.
MIT, a school of just a little more than 11,000 pretty outstanding students. In fact, they have a player from my high school in Pleasanton, California, Jack Murphy, one of their junior pitchers. So coast-to-coast recruiting for Massachusetts Institute of Technology, but they're up against it here. 2 on, nobody gone. That pitch is well outside as Herzog showed bunt all the way.
Well, the Beacons are very content normally to bunt. In this situation, I think that showing the bunt is as much about trying to make Cats catch the strike zone as anything else, hoping that a pitch could get back to the backstop.
The 1-0. Bunted. Perfectly placed. And no throw. Everybody's safe. Bunt single for Herzog. Split the difference between the pitcher and the third baseman who was playing back. Heller saw Murphy barreling down on him. There was nowhere he could go, and now Cats has the bases loaded with nobody out.
That's the other problem. The Beacons work on bunting so much that Herzog dropped down a bunt single yesterday, now has his second in as many days.
Call that a bingle. McCormick now behind 0-1.
And McCormick, who was more of a pinch hitter than anything as a freshman, phenomenal splits last season with 2 outs, with runners in scoring position. This is really his time to shine. Even a sac fly would be great at this point.
McCormick rips that one foul over the top of the MIT dugout, third base side. Leadoff double for Murphy. Sent it to the wall in straightaway center. A walk for Fowler. Bunt single for Herzog. UMass Boston trying to get back in front and make Cats pay. That's too low again.
Yeah, very important that you put the ball in play at this point. Don't want to allow the Engineers to potentially get a strikeout and then an inning-ending double play.
McCormick 0 for 2 today. The DH awaits. 1-2. Swings and grounds it foul.
And going back to your point about national recruiting, MIT recruits like a Division I school because of their academics. They get higher quality D1-esque athletes than a lot of schools at the Division III level because they're able to offer an academic lifestyle you're not going to see anywhere else, D1, D2, or D3.
That pitch is sent sky high but foul down the third base line. Just look at the states represented: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, New Jersey, California, Florida, Massachusetts, New England, Pennsylvania, Illinois, New Mexico, Missouri. It's about half the union. Target well away, 1-2. Runs back in across the plate. This could be 2. Underhand to second for 1, over to first in time for the double play. So no RBI there for McCormick, but the run scores from third. And now the Beacons are back in front, 2-1.
Yeah, not what you wanted. McCormick tried to beat it out, but if you can get another run here, the Beacons probably would be okay. It's all about Pinales coming through in a big spot. He's struggled at the plate the last couple of games, adjusting to a little bit colder temperature than he probably ever had to deal with at his junior college.
Now, you said that right. He's got a runner on third with 2 outs. UMass Boston has regained the lead. Scored 1 in the third, now 1 more here in the 6th. That pitch is swung on and missed. Good one buried low. That's what Katz has been trying to do.
Yeah, and Pinellas has taken a few too many hero hacks the last 2 days. He's really just trying to drive the ball in temperatures like this. Have to shorten your swing a little bit. Just try to hit line drives. I think that's something that he'll work on with Jamil Moquette when they get to Florida.
Another pitch ripped on and missed. 1-2.
Beacons like his speed. He's played pretty good defense out and right. Made a nice highlight catch yesterday on a ball that was hit over his head. But thus far, just the 1 hit inside the park home run against LaSalle.
Wide strike 3, but that ends the frame for Katz. So the Beacons load the bases with nobody out. Dave Murphy scores to take a 2-1 lead after a ground out double play. But most importantly, UMass Boston has the 2-1 advantage as we head to the 7th. Alongside Seth Orensky, I'm Kevin Gale here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
What separates UMass Boston from other schools is the fact that a large percentage of students commute. For me, it takes 2 hours each day to go to and from school, but every second has been worth it because the students that come here are serious about learning, they value their education, and understand where it'll take them in the future. This is what UMass Boston means to me.
baseman, number 4, Tony.
6 innings in the books here at Monin Park in Boston, Massachusetts. 2-1 the score, UMass Boston leading MIT. Number 1 ranked Beacons, 2-0 on the season, trying to finish out a perfect season opening homestand. Doherty back to work on the mound, making his first appearance, struck out 2 in his opening frame of work.
And this is probably his last frame. The Beacons wanted to throw their 2 freshmen along with Josh Gerson, Chris Monroe, and Alex Carasoto. I'd expect at least 2 of those guys to come in. Monroe and Carasoto are more late inning guys. Gerson's a guy who can start or come in as a middle inning relief pitcher for this Beacons team.
Beacons bullpen will pitch with the lead. 2-1 the advantage here after the ground ball double play led to the run scored by Murphy. Tony Rice, the 8-hitter for MIT. 0 for 2 today. He did reach on an error. The 1-2. Swung on and missed. Great spot laid down by the catcher Harrington, and Doherty threw it right to him.
Pitchers have looked good on both sides today, really. I've only seen a couple of hard-hit balls, and it's been impressive what they've been able to do against some potentially high-octane offenses. It's a little bit early in the season to be able to judge one way or another.
You said it right. The ball has really flown for both of these teams this year. Offensively, that's grounded just foul down the first base side, and it was a close play. Diving attempt by Fowler. Someone's got to run all the way down there and get that baseball.
Hey, that'll keep someone in the dugout a little bit warmer for the moment. With 38 guys on the roster to start the season, UMass Boston has a couple guys who recognize they're probably not getting into the game today.
Jared Schwait batting ninth. Watches that pitch bounce low in the turf. Doherty's 1-1. Fastball inside, 2 balls and 1 strike. Doherty working exclusively out of the stretch. Wearing those white baseball shoes, like the Oakland A's.
Are they staying there? Is the kid staying there?
1 out, nobody on here. 2 balls, 1 strike. That pitch is lofted into left field. Reading it all the way is Herzog, back short of the track and makes the grab. 3 batters in a row retired by Doherty, and we go back to the top with the ever dangerous Garrett Greenwood. Greenwood 2 for 3 with a couple singles. He's reached third base twice. Stranded there both times today. And that could turn out to be the difference. Swings at the first pitch, and that too is just foul down the first base line. That's been the hot corner today. A lot of lefties getting some rips in. Greenwood from Edmond, Oklahoma. Stands just 5'9". Doherty much bigger. 6 feet plus, 240 pounds. Working that ball in the right hand. Target away from Harrington. Runs back in, but Greenwood couldn't get a piece. Quickly 0-2.
Not a bad idea, though. We've seen some of these pitchers, some of these relievers struggle with the bunts, and when you're struggling to get any good contact against a pitcher, 2 outs, maybe just try to spark yourself by getting an infield single.
2 outs, nobody on. 0-2. Swing and a miss. 4 strikeouts through the first 2 innings of work for Doherty in his debut. Couple outstanding freshmen on the bump today for UMass Boston. And they have the 2-1 lead as it's time to stretch here at Monin Park. Bottom of the 7th we go on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
UMass Boston was my first choice because when I came to the campus, I saw that there was a lot of diversity. There's a lot of people. Here there's a lot of international students, so it's really cool to meet people from different countries, different parts of the world. I'm Julia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
I'm Olivia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
We're sisters. I play volleyball and she plays basketball. Here they have a freshman success community. So each major has their own community that you can join as a freshman, and you take classes with them, you do study groups with them. So it was really helpful getting to know people in your major right away.
So in health exercise sciences, we have an internship at the end, where it's so much better to have like an advisor helping you out, like telling you which classes to choose.
Number 18, Jack Harrington.
Jack Harrington catching a great game for the Beacons today. He leads off as the 8-hitter in the bottom of the 7th. First pitch is swung on and missed. Harrington got aboard on a hit-by pitch in the 5th. 2-1 the lead for the number 1 ranked team in NCAA Division III. The 0-1. That's low. 1 ball and 1 strike.
And one of the things we haven't talked about during this homestand, Kevin, is how much playing these games helps these New England teams when they get down to Florida. Because when you go down to Florida, you're playing a team that's on Game 5, Game 6, Game 7 of their Florida trip, and you're on Game 1. You've had 1 practice outdoors, which used to be the case for UMass Boston. It's a big disadvantage. Now, Beacon's already 3 games in. They've been practicing outside. They've been dealing with the wind, the sun. UMass Boston should be close to wherever any team is or have an advantage when they get down there for game number 1 on Friday.
Trying to hang on here for that 2-1 victory, and that's a 4-pitch strikeout for Katz, who's rebounding well after loading up the bases, put the first 3 batters he faced aboard.
I love the fact that both Allison and Harrington have just started throwing the ball down to third base before the home plate umpire has even started to ring some of these batters up, as the Beacons are going to bring in a pinch hitter here, Eddie Riley. So they're going to go with the righty-lefty matchup, and Riley will likely be replaced in the lineup by Joey Rogers on the defensive side, but Riley, chance here to get something going for UMass Boston.
So Riley fills into the 9 spot. Takes the first pitch, fastball low, but called a strike, 0-1.
Riley's one of those guys who can do a little bit of everything. He's played along the infield. He's had a couple of games in the outfield. Great pinch runner, and the Beacons using him as a pinch hitter early in the season.
Takes that pitch for ball 1. Riley this year, perfect 2 for 2 at the plate. It's a couple runs scored as well. Senior from Quincy, Massachusetts. Takes that one for a called strike, outer edge. 1-2 the count.
Just don't know how you stay warm enough to really be able to attack the baseball at this point after sitting around for 2+ hours. All you can do is really jog.
Fastball, spoiled foul. We'll do it again on 1-2. Brashino replaced in that 9 spot, 0 for 2 at the plate today. No surprise, most of the production coming from the 3-4-5 hitters. Breaking ball missed outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, that's the nice thing about this Beacons team. Yesterday it was 4, 5, and 6 with all 7 of their hits, 4 RBI and 2 runs. It hasn't necessarily been one guy who's had to carry the load offensively.
That one's a little high and tight, 3-2.
Looks like the Beacons lacrosse team holds the early edge on the MIT lacrosse team. 4-2 late in the first, I believe.
Live updates because we can see the scoreboard next door.
Yeah, not much more, though.
That is sky high, back behind second base. Rice calling for it, makes the grab. Just along the edge of that painted turf. Demarcating the diamond here, as so many cold weather colleges have done. All turf around this infield and outfield. The only dirt on the field, the pitcher's mound.
Ariel should be on it. We sent her over a few minutes ago.
Blue shortstop number 29, Charlie.
4 in a row, retired by Adam Katz. Relief pitcher who's gone an inning and 2/3 for MIT. Charlie Hughey takes the first pitch for a strike. Hughey has the first run of the game scored back in the 3rd. Murphy followed in the 6th. On the ground ball double play that put the Beacons back in front. Hughey thought about bunting there and instead took a called strike.
Katz has really settled down. Remember, he gave up that double. Beacons loaded up the bases with no outs. Then he got the grounded into a double play. The strikeout was retired 4 in a row at this point.
Way outside, setting the target there was Allison. Two outs, nobody on. Bottom of the 7th. 1-2. Swung on, ground ball, right side. Sliding over is Coker, the first baseman. Good coverage there by the pitcher. Katz got off the mound in time, and the 7th inning is over. 2 runs on 4 hits with 1 error for UMass Boston. 1 run on 5 hits with 1 error for MIT. It's a 1-run lead as we head to the 8th inning here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
People at UMass Boston, they're here because they know they can have an impact, not just on research, but on people, on their students.
This is just the starting point. It only has potential to grow, and it has a big potential to grow up.
You're really having a direct impact on people's lives, and you can see that now, and you can see that years from now.
So I think it's becoming like the place that people want to go.
What UMass Boston is able to offer to its young people certainly stands out to that mission that was set right out in the beginning. It's something UMass Boston should be and can be very proud about. The third baseman, number 6, David Heller.
Sun setting here in Boston. Temperature down to a real feel of just 25 degrees with some wind continuing to whip. But we play on. 2-1 the lead for UMass Boston over MIT.
It's funny, these two teams opened Monin Park 2 seasons ago. I think the temperatures were in the 50s. It was a low-scoring game. The Beacons ended up winning 4-0 or 4-1, but just shows how variable the temperature can be here in New England.
There's a swing and a miss for the two-hitter, David Heller, leading off this top of the 8th inning. Do have a defensive change in center. Joey Rogers replacing Sal Fruscino. Covered the most ground of any outfielder today.
And Rogers is a guy who also can cover a ton of space. The Beacons have great speed amongst their outfielders. Actually started the Beacons opener as a pitcher and then was out in center field yesterday. So Beacons really like their options, especially out in center. Danny Brown, one of their top defensive subs, was hurt in practice last week. So we've got a ball that ended up out there in right center field from the Beacons bullpen.
So Rogers pressed into action. Go pick that up. Defensive-minded, trying to get these last 6 outs are the Beacons.
It looks like it's Chris Monroe who's warming up out there in the pen. Number 30, a sophomore righty for the Beacons.
And we would expect him in the 9th?
Well, it wasn't a closer season ago, but with Tramandozzi and McGuire unavailable after yesterday, probably the Beacons' best bet to close this one out. Alex Carasoto has some experience there as well, but haven't seen him begin to warm up.
2 freshman pitchers doing the heavy lifting for UMass Boston today. Tyler Aruda gave up 1 run through 5 innings. And now Doherty trying to strike out Heller. Got ahead 0-2 and throws ball 1 there.
That's the other thing. We expected to see 4 or 5 guys today, but with the way these 2 freshmen have pitched, UMass Boston's going to go with these 2 as long as they're pitching well.
Ground ball left side. Boudris has it. Whips across the diamond in time. Well done there. 5-3 on the putout. Nearly had the web gem of the game earlier. It was a bang-bang play at first. Heller goes away. Heller had the lone RBI for MIT back in the 5th. That was with 2 outs against Aruda as he was trying desperately to hang on and get out of that inning in line for the victory. But UMass Boston regained the lead in the bottom of the 6th. Now Doherty faces the 3-hitter, Johnston.
Yeah, this is a big spot for Doherty and this Beacons team. If you can get these guys out here in the 8th, you can probably face the bottom of the order in the 9th. Doherty faces any kind of trouble here. You'll likely see Monroe, who was a guy who put out some fires this summer with the Cortland Crush. Pitched in all kinds of situations.
Johnston, the only engineer with a home run this year. He's got the one-swing power. That's what he needs to tie here. 1 out, nobody on. The 0-1. Swung on, roped into shallow right field. That'll drop in for a base hit. Over the head of Murphy at second. Pinellas corrals and throws back in, so the Engineers have a man aboard.
Well, that's almost as good right now if you're MIT. Rare base runner, and now can they put a little bit of a rally together against Doherty? I think if MIT puts another base runner on, this might be it for Mike, as UMass Boston does have Monroe up and warm. Guy who's used to facing situations like this is Daniel Gamble's going to come out, have another chat with one of his freshmen.
Doherty trying to go 3 complete innings in his collegiate debut.
Looks like there's also a righty up for the Engineers. Gonna guess that it's, well, I was going to say 6, but David Heller's in the starting lineup today and not listed as pitcher. Maybe it's Jared Tramontano, who is wearing number 5 today, if I remember right, and that looks like it's a 5. Listed as 7 on the roster.
We'll see where MIT goes when the Beacons bat here in the bottom of the 8th. But right now, it's up to Mike Doherty. Double play depth around the diamond. This could be it. 5-4. No, it's bobbled at second base. They're gonna say the out is called. It was bobbled on the transition.
Now you can see
so
that.
That'll be the second out of the inning.
That's probably the most aggressive I've seen Mark Piantidosi, the home plate umpire. He was very demonstrative that time that it was on the transfer. So both teams catch a break there.
Johnston out at second. 5-4. Allison reaches on the fielder's choice. So essentially same situation now with 2 outs instead. Hughie playing a little bit further back at short. Murphy calling out the signals to him at second. Kyle Coker, the first baseman, trying to avoid the golden sombrero. He's 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. 2-1 lead for the Beacons, top of the 8th. Runner goes, slugged high in the air. That'll stay on the diamond. Murphy sees it, grabs it, and that's the end of the top of the 8th. So Doherty goes 3 scoreless innings of relief in his collegiate debut, and the Beacons will try to add some insurance in the bottom of the 8th, leading MIT 2-1 here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
If they're going to third base, yes. If they're going to second, no. Let's just, yeah, you have it.
Adam Katz leaves the game in line for the loss for MIT. He's replaced on the mound by Jared Tramontano. MIT trailing 2-1 as the Beacons will bat again in the bottom of the 8th inning. Taking a look at that upcoming schedule, we were talking earlier about the Beacons hopping on a plane and heading down to Lakeland, Florida. It's the spring training home of the Detroit Tigers, and be about 6 games for the Beacons to play down in Sunshine State, and then head back here to begin play when spring begins to spring here in New England. 2 runs on 4 hits with 2 errors for UMass Boston. 1 run on 6 hits with 1 error for MIT. Tramontano, the righty, it's turned around for a base hit just like that. Leadoff single there for Kyle Boudris.
Such a Kyle Boudris day. 3 hits, 3 different kind of hits. Very aggressive first pitch swinging, and he probably wasn't happy with his batting average. I think it came in under 300 through the first 2 days. But Boudris is just so consistent. He never tries to do too much, and he's off to a good start here in 2018.
You said it right. Single to left, single to center, single to right. This could be 2, though, off the bat of Murphy, and that's thrown away at second base. Boudris on his way to third. It ends up in shallow right field. And the Beacons have runners at the corners after an error by the shortstop. Rolland the guilty party there, and now the Beacons have a golden opportunity to buy some insurance with runners at the corners and nobody out.
Yeah, I think the shortstop maybe harried the throw a little bit, recognizing that it wasn't a hard hit double play ball, but also he just might have struggled getting a grip on it because that ball was airmailed over the head of the second baseman, who could only just sit there and watch in horror as it went over his head. And the Beacons in a great spot here. 1 single run could be a huge advantage, already leading by 1 here in the 8th.
To me, that's where we've seen the weather effect more than anything else, trying to turn that double play at second. It's been a tough proposition for either team. Chris Fowler back up there. The cleanup man looking for his first base hit today. Swings away, sends it into center. Sweet can't get there. It rolls past him, and this is going to the wall. 1 run will score. Green light at third. Murphy hustling around. He scores from first, and it's a 2-run triple for Chris Fowler. The Beacons blowing it wide open with 2 more runs here in the bottom of the 8th.
And that's the problem. You have a chance to clear the bases. Instead, Fowler steps up. And Chris Fowler has been an RBI machine here to start the 2018 season. Really hasn't shown any sign from slowing down. And MIT forced to bring the infield in here, already trailing 4-1.
4-1 the score. Still nobody out. And Jared Tramontano's getting lit up.
2 hard hit balls, but again, that double play ball ending up in right field, a huge difference. We'll try to show you that play when we get a second.
Fowler, now the team leader with 6 RBIs for the Beacons this year. His first triple of 2018. Herzog can drive in another. Infield drawn in with a runner at third and nobody out. Every infielder standing inside those base paths, and now with 1 out, they'll hold their same spots. K for Herzog, and now Ryan McCormick, who's 0 for 3. UMass Boston took a 1-run lead in the 3rd on a sac fly RBI by Dave Murphy. Tyler Aruda gave up a game-tying RBI in the 5th. That cost him a chance at the win in his freshman debut. But he's in line for the no decision after the Beacons got a run back in the 6th. Ground ball double play led to a Dave Murphy run scored from 3rd. And now a 2-run triple by Chris Fowler in the 8th. It's 4-1 at Monin Park. And the number 1 ranked Beacons are closing in on a perfect homestand to start the new season.
And it's just those little plays. That's been the difference today. A couple of extra base hits from UMass Boston. That big botched of the double play.
The most costly error of the day belongs to Ethan Rolland, the shortstop. 2 errors apiece, and it's hard to blame these infielders. Their hands are ice cold. That pitch runs inside and nearly gets past the catcher, Allison. Open stance for the lefty McCormick. The DH awaits. Tremontano throws. Off speed, called strike 3. Or was it? Or excuse me, ball 4. First time aboard today for Ryan McCormick. Base on balls after a couple ground outs. And we'll have a pinch hitter, or should I say a pinch runner here for the Beacons.
No, it's going to be a pinch hitter. It's Anthony Cesare in there for Wanderson Pinellas. I think we're at his spot in the lineup. And it's just interesting. Cesare was the DH each of the first 2 games. Here he gets a lefty-righty matchup. And what you're looking for from Cesare is just drive a ball. Drive something to the outfield. Fowler's got decent enough speed where as long as it's not shallow, it should score the run. Beacon's just looking to add a little bit more insurance here for whoever's on in the 9th. I think Doherty's probably done. But either way, UMass Boston wants to have a comfortable victory here in their final game of this 3-game homestand.
Tremontano, the righty, facing the lefty Cesare. First pitch fastball inside for ball 1.
Cesare had a couple tough at-bats yesterday. I think he went 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts before being pinch hit for. So see what kind of adjustments he made with the Beacons coaching staff after that tough one yesterday.
He replaces Pinellas, who struggled today with a couple Ks. That's going to be a souvenir on the lacrosse field next door.
And looks like MIT's taking the lead in the lacrosse game 7-5 at this point with 9 minutes to go in the first half.
Big rally there in the second quarter by the Engineers.
Be interesting to see who fills in right field for UMass Boston with Danny Brown not available after hurting his knee.
Runner goes from first. McCormick offered toward second and then retreated.
And Riley already out there. Rogers already being used. It could be one of those freshmen who pinch hit against LaSalle on Wednesday, getting some late game action in a close game.
3-run lead for the Beacons, looking for more. That's framed low and away. 3 balls and 1 strike.
Much better approach from Cesare than he had yesterday. See if he gets the green light with 1 down and a 3-1 count.
Fowler at third. That's popped straight up, back behind home plate. Allison up against the screen and watches that bounce 2 rows up.
That's why I'm glad we have windows in front of us, just in case.
You never know.
Definitely had a couple balls end up in the press box at Campanelli Field, the former home of the UMass Boston Beacons, back when they weren't playing on campus. A little bit more difficult to put one into the press box here. It'd have to be a direct hit over top of the press box.
That'd be a really tough angle. 3-2. Off speed, swung on and missed. Thrown down to second. The throw is just a little bit late. Sliding in safely is Ryan McCormick.
Pretty good speed from a catcher there in McCormick, who's DHing today. MIT thought they had to strike him out, throw him out, and instead it's a chance here for Jack Harrington. As the junior transfer, I still think he's looking for that first hit as a Beacon, but hit here could push this lead out to 6-1.
0 for 3 today. He was hit by a pitch. That's a called strike. 0-1 the count here. 2 on, 2 gone. 4-1 lead for the Beacons. Harrington trying to drive in a pair and really give the Beacons something to celebrate. Now he'll step out.
Got a pair of highlights to look at the end of this half inning. The error on the potential double play and then the double really changing the complexion of this contest.
Absolutely.
Because up until that point, I mean, this game was really a matter of inches from being the other way in a 2-1 lead for MIT. They've done a really nice job of hanging with a pair of nationally ranked teams. Trinity was 15 when they played them. They're up to 7, so that shows how good MIT is to start.
Harrington takes low for ball 2.
I mean, 1-4 when you're playing two nationally ranked teams. Not a bad showing for a team that lost a ton of talent. Remember Austin Fowler, their best hitter, drafted by the Cubs. David Hesslink, senior pitcher, drafted by the Mariners.
2-1. Right down the pipe, called a strike, and now it's all 2s.
Harrington behind the plate has a pretty good idea of what the strike zone should be, so must have been looking for an off-speed pitch, instead got the fastball.
Let's see what he does here. Tramontano took some extra time. Swings and golfs it down the first base line, just foul. I also think the difference today was UMass Boston pitching with some runners in scoring position early on. Arruda looked poised beyond his years. And Doherty extinguished a couple issues as well.
That's the big thing about UMass Boston. Ever since they got Monin Park, they've gotten freshmen who have come from really good high school programs and had a lot of success there.
2-2 is dropped down foul, and we'll do it again.
When you can offer potential recruits a chance to play at a mini Fenway Park, a chance to play on campus, the Boston skyline in the background, you're able to get guys who are a little bit more polished coming in right away and making an impact. We've seen that with Joey Rogers, Fernando Burgos. A lot of really strong performances from freshman pitchers the past couple seasons.
2-2 again. Off speed, ripped into left field for a base hit. That'll score 1. Here comes McCormick from second. He slides in safely. It's a 2-out, 2-run single for Jack Harrington, his first base knock, and now it's all UMass Boston with 4 more runs in the bottom of the 8th inning and a 6-1 advantage.
Yeah, well, what better time than right there is Harrington. The focus was, can he play good defense for us? Can he handle our pitching staff? A clutch hit right there. And now UMass Boston really shouldn't matter who is coming on in the 9th inning. The Beacons have a pretty comfortable lead.
Joey Rogers back up there. It's the defensive sub in center. Now he'll bat. Eddie Riley batted before him in that 9-hole. So 4 runs across here. Single for Boudris. Murphy reached on that critical E6 at second base as MIT tried to turn 2. Fowler had the big swing. 2-run triple to the wall in center. Herzog struck out. McCormick walked. Cesare struck out, and then Jack Harrington comes through with 2 more runs on a 2-out single. Fun inning for the Beacons. 6-1 lead. Called strike on a get-me-over pitch, 3-1. Lights beginning to take effect. 5:16 in the Eastern time zone. That pitch is drilled into center field. Schwait going back, measures, makes the catch. But the damage has been done. It's a 5-run lead for UMass Boston, and we'll see who's heading to the mound in the 9th for the Beacons when we come back on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Single to left, single to center, single to right. This could be 2, though. Off the bat of Murphy, and that's thrown away at second base. Boudris on his way to third. It ends up in shallow right field, and the back up there. The cleanup man looking for his first base hit today, swings away, sends it into center. Schwait can't get there. It rolls past him, and this is run triple for Chris Fowler. The beat 2-2 again. Off speed, ripped into left field for a base hit. That'll score 1. Here comes
The 5-campus UMass system is the university that educates the workforce of Massachusetts. We recognize that we are truly here for a reason, and that recognition inspires us, it drives us every single day.
– 6-1 lead for UMass Boston in the top of the 9th inning. And they'll go to Chris Monroe for his first appearance here in 2018 to try and close this show. Monroe appeared 13 times last season, posted a 1.84 ERA. He had one save during that campaign. Sophomore from Marshfield, Massachusetts. Follows a couple outstanding freshmen who went to the mound today for the Beacons. He's got a 5-run lead to work with. First pitch well inside along the belt line of Ethan Rolland.
And
Rolland, the shortstop, batting 6th. 1 for 3 today, Seth.
Sorry about that, Kevin. Monroe's a guy who was one of the Beacons' top relievers to start last season. As the ball's hit over to Boudris, fires it across in time. Monroe didn't see any time throughout the Beacons' playoff run. They really went away from him, focused mostly on Brian Kaufman, Bobby Tramandozzi, Joe McGuire. So he's a guy who the Beacons had trust in. They just focused more on those three. Guy who hopefully will help take off some of the workload this season for UMass Boston's top 2 or 3 relievers.
Quick out there on the 5-3. And now it's Trey Roberts. It's a different Roberts. It's Zach Roberts.
And it's not Robin Roberts.
No. Zach wearing number 11, replacing Trey Roberts, the left fielder who was wearing number 2, as that one just creeps over the fence. Fowler gave it a long run.
And Luke Pilot's out there in right field, replacing the pinch hitter, Anthony Cesare. So second time we've seen the freshman outfielder out of Portland, Oregon. It's rare to see UMass Boston players coming from that far away, especially from the Pacific Northwest. We don't see many athletes on UMass Boston's campus from that area of the country.
The 1-1. Inside and low, 2 balls and 1 strike. Like you were saying, other than really, Wanderson Pinales, mostly northeastern talent. At Noah Mader from Austin, Texas as well.
Yeah, the Beacons get some talent from Florida, California. But for one
baseball hotbeds.
Yeah, for one reason or another, just not a lot of athletes in any sport from the Pacific Northwest.
1 out, nobody on here. The 2-1 pitch, taken a bit high. Actually, that was on a 3-1, so it's a walk for the other Roberts. First time that anyone from that 7 spot has reached base today, and now we've got another pinch hitter in Max Lancaster.
Well, if you're MIT, just trying to get something going, give some of these guys at bats in their first game back here in New England.
Still no trouble with the big 5-run lead. Monroe, the righty, trying to finish it off. Ground ball double play would do it. That one runs inside, gloved by Harrington. First time the Beacons have ever been ranked number 1 in the country in any program. And trying to defend that honor here. Target away. That pitch is inside and low. 2 balls and no strikes. Quick conference at the mound here. Monroe trying to keep this game under control. UMass Boston Riding a 3-game winning streak, trying to stretch it to 4 against MIT. Engineers looking for a last gasp. Low, but in the zone, called a strike. 2-1.
You talk about a last gasp. The last time that MIT defeated UMass Boston, they did it with a 9th inning comeback, although I think it was a 2 or 3 run lead. Came back at their home field against Matt Juck, a former Beacons closer.
That's ripped foul. Third base side off the netting. I'll keep it off the lacrosse field, where MIT now leads 8-5 over UMass Boston with just a minute and change remaining in the first half.
That was a wild game, though. I think the final score was 14-13, 15-14.
Wow.
Certainly a lot higher scoring than this one.
Football score. Off speed. Lancaster held off. 3-2.
MIT's field, a little bit more the norm of a D3 baseball field. Fences 6 or 7 feet out and left. Not quite as deep as you see here at Monin Park.
420 into that triangle in right center. That pitch bounces away from the catcher, Harrington. Would have been ball 4 anyway. Roberts moves to second. Lancaster behind him after back-to-back walks. So now, the pinch hit parade continues, as we'll see Jared Schwait moved out for Alex Kushner from Cooper City, Florida.
Your attention, please. Pinch hitting for Jared Schwait, number 8, Alex
Kushner, a junior catcher. One for 6 this year at the plate.
And to close the scoreline on that game, it was 13-12 MIT on April 24th, 2014. UMass Boston scored 5 runs in the top of the 8th to take the lead. MIT 5 runs in the bottom of the 9th to win it.
Off speed and a good one from Monroe. He needed it. 0-2. Much different story here today. Beacons don't want to see any more runs on the board. 6-1 the score. Monroe shaking it out again. Sort of an interesting scenario here. Not a save situation. He's already had a meeting at the mound to try and calm things down. Good pitch, swung on and missed. Picked up by Harrington. And he had a chance to perhaps throw back behind the runner at first. Lancaster had drifted halfway down the baseline. So Harrington may have missed an opportunity there, but as it stands, 2 on, 2 out. Still a 5-run lead, and potentially you could also argue, let's just hold on to the baseball and focus on the last batter up, Garrett Greenwood, one of the best today.
And I think that was what Jack Harrington was saying. No need to throw it away potentially and end up having MIT be in an even better position. He can claim that that's what he was thinking. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But it was a really interesting approach there. Monroe had been struggling, and that MIT pinch hitter gave him a real bailout, being very aggressive at the plate.
Greenwood struck out his last time up. Couple singles today. He bunts it. Back to the pitcher. Monroe looks over to first. He'll eat it up. Bunt single for Garrett Greenwood using his speed. And the bases are loaded in the top of the 9th. Things getting interesting here with David Heller digging in.
The third baseman, number 6, David Heller.
And Greenwood's had a phenomenal game. We talked about his day at the plate, but also he got the start, kept UMass Boston quiet. 1 run over 4, maybe 5 innings. Handful of strikeouts as well.
Good day all around for Garrett Greenwood. First pitch, breaking ball, called a strike.
It's one of those tough situations for Monroe. First time out this season, but also you think you're getting into a save situation. All of a sudden it becomes a 5-run game. Sometimes the mindset changes and you can't just quite be as effective.
That pitch is popped down the first base line, reaching up, and Fowler can't get there. 1 run is scored. Here comes another engineer, and all of a sudden, it's 6-3 in the top of the 9th. So we're not done yet. Tying run will step to the plate for MIT.
The right fielder, number 28, Matt Johnston.
Matt Johnston started the game 0 for 3, singled his last time up. And Fowler was just inches away from ending that game on a little flare into shallow right field.
Yeah, we just took a second look here in the press box, and he gave it everything he could and just couldn't quite get their ball tailing away from him. But that's why that hit from Jack Harrington was so important for UMass Boston.
Greenwood's got all kinds of speed at second. He can score easily on a single with 2 outs. Johnston awaits, swings, and grounds that sharply foul down the third base line. Johnston's been taking his cuts today.
And ironically, for the first time all day, the sun is seemingly out. We've been seeing gray clouds all day. Now the sun basking right and right center.
This really is a dramatic backdrop at Monin Park. I tried to snap a picture earlier. Video and photos do it no justice with that Boston skyline lit up by the sun. The 0-2. Off speed, driven to the shortstop. Hughie throws to second in time to end the ball game. A web gem to end it for the Beacons. The tying run came to the plate in the top of the 9th for MIT. They scored 2, but UMass Boston holds on for a 6-3 win. A little bit more dramatic than the Beacons wanted in the 9th, but Chris Monroe gets out of trouble and drops the curtain on a perfect opening homestand. Number 1 ranked UMass Boston moves to 3-0 overall, and next up they'll head down to Florida for the Russ Matt Invitational. So we look back on this entertaining ball game today. It all began with Tyler Aruda on the mound making his freshman collegiate debut. He went 5 complete innings, gave up 1 earned run on 4 hits, walked 1, struck out 5. He had an opportunity to leave in line for the victory, gave up a 2-out RBI single in the 5th. MIT added 2 more runs in the 9th. Mike Doherty did a great job in his freshman debut. 3 innings of relief, just 2 hits, no earned runs. He struck out 4. And Monroe, despite giving up those 2 earned runs, leaves after the 9th inning. 2 hits, 1 complete inning of work, 1 strikeout. Big day at the plate for Kyle Boudris, 3 for 4. 2 RBIs for Jack Harrington. First run of the game was squared up to the batter at driven in the 3rd inning away by the Beacons. Off speed. Sac fly RBI by Murphy. They got the lead back in the 6th inning, and the bases loaded. Payoff pitch is swung on and missed. A ground ball double play off the bat of Ryan McCormick that scored Dave Murphy from 3rd, and then the 4th spot in the 8th, which at the time just seemed like a little insurance for fun, turned out to be oh so important. Chris Fowler had the big swing of the day, 2-run triple to the wall in center. Forget about it. 2 more RBIs for Jack Harrington on his 2-out single in the 8th, and that was the difference. MIT down to the first base, close in the 9th, even closer than the final score will indicate, but UMass Boston remains undefeated but the throw beats him to the corner. So as we look ahead to the upcoming tournament down in Florida, busy schedule upcoming. It all begins on March 9th. St. John Fisher College, the opponent. That's a 7 p.m. start. We'll be back on the Beacons Broadcast Network March 20th when Roger Williams University comes here to Monin Park for the next home game on the UMass Boston Beacons schedule. As for MIT, the Engineers dropped to 1-3 in the early going, although, as we pointed out earlier, they've already matched up against 2 top 15 teams, including the number 1 ranked team in the country, UMass Boston. So that's going to do it for our broadcast today. For Seth Orensky and our entire production team, I'm Kevin Gale saying so long for now, and thanks so much for tuning in to the Beacons Broadcast Network. The bat of Murphy, and that's thrown away at second base. Boudris on his way to 3rd. It ends up in shallow right field, and they're back up there. The cleanup man looking for his first base hit today, swings away, Sends it into center. Schwait can't get there. It rolls past him, and this is going to the wall. 1 run will score. Green light at third. Murphy hustling around. He scores from first, and it's a 2-run triple for Chris Fowler. The beat 2-2 again. Off speed. Ripped into left field for a base hit. That'll score 1. Here comes McCormick from second. He slides in safely. It's a 2-out, 2-run single for
just quite be as effective.
That pitch is popped down the first base line, reaching up, and Fowler can't get there. 1 run is scored. Here comes another engineer, and all lit up by the sun. The 0-2. Off speed, driven to the shortstop. Hughie throws to second in time to end the ball game. End it for the Beacons. The tying run came to the plate in the top of the 9th for MIT. They scored 2, but UMass Boston holds on for a 6-3 win. A little bit more dramatic than the Beacons wanted in the 9th, but Chris Monroe gets out of trouble and drops the curtain on a perfect opening homestand. Number 1 ranked UMass Boston moves to 3-0 overall, and next up they'll head down to Florida for the Russ Matt Invitational. So we look back on this entertaining ball game today. It all began with Tyler Aruda on the mound, making his freshman collegiate debut. He went 5 complete innings, gave up 1 earned run on 4 hits, walked 1, struck out 5. He had an opportunity to leave in line for the victory, gave up a 2-out RBI single in the 5th. MIT added 2 more runs in the 9th. Mike Doherty did a great job in his freshman